Okay, so 2024 is almost over with, and 2025 is just around the corner. And in this video, I'm going to highlight the biggest things happening and coming to Utah in 2025 and beyond. And it's no surprise that Utah is at the center of growth when it comes to populations that are really booming over the last decade or two. Utah is the fastest growing state in the nation since 2010, and there are so many reasons why, but what I'm looking to in this video is what's coming in the future. What can you expect next year and beyond? Because as I help people make the move and relocate to Utah, as well as people who already live here, I get to gain the unique perspective and an intimate understanding of the questions that you have as a viewer and what you want to know when making the move to Utah or even moving within the state itself. So in this video, I'm going to highlight the 7 big things that you're going to want to know of what's happening in Utah in 2025 and beyond. All right, number 1, I want to talk about and touch on the major infrastructure projects that are coming and beginning in 2025. The first thing that I'd like to talk about is the massive development of over 600 acres in the heart of the Wasatch Front, right in Draper along I-15 on the former site of the Utah State Prison. And since that prison has been relocated with a brand new prison being built just out near the Great Salt Lake, this site is prime real estate and prepared and ready to go in 2025. Now, this development is called The Point, and many people find it a little controversial because this is one of those new developments that is going to be one of those 15-minute cities. Some people don't view that as a good thing, other people do. Some people don't want to see denser housing coming along the Wasatch Front, but inevitably, the lifestyle that surrounds the quarter-acre lots or the half-acre lots in suburban Utah is kind of a thing of the past in terms of what's available now and what makes sense as you build along the Wasatch Front. These areas are just far too popular, the land is far too expensive, and if you were to build single-family homes on this land, those homes would be astronomically expensive, and that's not what we want to have here. We don't need more expensive homes, we need more affordable homes and apartments and units where people can find a place to live and thrive. Now, this project, The Point, is a major development. In fact, I've created a previous video right here on my channel where I highlighted the announcement of this project, and this project will include multi-purpose spaces, not only for commercial and retail, but also office as well as residential. It will also have an innovation hub. It will have restaurants. It will have other attractions like a concert venue. It will have parks. It will have so many things that people find entertaining, but it will also provide a really good value proposition for those who do choose to live there, in that everything will be walkable. Everything that you'll possibly need to live in that community will be within walking distance. And from an outdoors perspective, you'll be able to connect over to the Jordan River Parkway and that trail system, as well as the Corner Canyon trail system to the east. So you're going to be right there in the midst of the population area, but you're going to be still connected to the outdoors. And this development is just north of Lehi, where it is viewed as the center of Silicon Slopes, but this is rapidly continuing to grow northward into Draper, where all of this land has been freed up and new development is coming. This is going to be the epicenter for the tech scene, more than likely, not only in Draper, but also Lehi just directly to the south. This is a thriving area, and The Point is one of those projects that is kind of a game changer for the Wasatch Front. And just about 10 to 15 minutes to the south, there's another one of these developments happening in Utah City, which is in the city of Vineyard, tucked right up against Utah Lake and in between Orem. And it's another one of those developments that's going to be filled with not only multi-purpose, but also residential. It will be denser housing, and it will also have some high-rise towers as well. So Utah City and The Point are new projects that are coming, and those projects are geared specifically towards providing a sustainable way of living and for people to be able to have access to all the things they need within walking distance. Okay, another infrastructure project that will be coming is the expansion of the Frontrunner system. The Frontrunner train, it's a passenger train that runs all the way up and down the Wasatch Front, and with recent population growth, that train has become in more and more need, and expansion is inevitable. And last but not least, I want to touch on, in terms of infrastructure, I-15, as well as other projects in the Mountain View Corridor, Bangerter Highway, and other highways that are being built out, including the West Davis Corridor up to the north. There are a lot of highways that are currently under construction, as well as expansion to better serve our population growth. And some people say that in Utah, there are only 2 seasons. There's ski season and there's construction season. And when we say that, what we're referring to is road construction. So expansion of I-15, as well as the new freeway along the west side of Salt Lake County leading into Utah County in the Mountain View Corridor, as well as the conversion from a highway to a freeway in Bangerter Highway highway in Salt Lake County, these highway projects are crucial to help managing our growth going forward, and the forecast for the population growth that's coming to Utah will certainly require further projects in the future. Okay, next up, number 2, I want to talk about just a little bit about technology. Utah is known as a really good center for technology companies, and the reason why so many companies are choosing to make the move here is because we have a highly educated workforce. We are the youngest population in terms of a state in the entire country. So we're the youngest state in the country. We have a highly educated workforce. We also have a highly bilingual workforce as well. And with that comes a little more reliability in terms of your employees. Therefore, companies are drawn to make the move to Utah. They also come here because it's a fairly business-friendly environment, especially compared to other states that those companies might be doing business in, like California. And directly south of Salt Lake City, in between Lehigh and Provo, and in my opinion, it's really starting to expand up into Draper in Salt Lake County, but that area is the hub, the center of what we call Silicon Slopes. The development of these companies and the expansion of these companies, as well as new companies starting up and moving in, will only encourage more growth along that I-15 corridor. In fact, it's because of these tech companies that the surrounding subdivisions and cities around that corridor, in cities like Lehigh and Saratoga Springs, Vineyard, American Fork, Provo, these cities are seeing drastic increases in home prices, even though we're building more homes per 1,000 residents than any other state in the country. So we're trying to keep up, but that growth is really fueled by the tech scene, especially in this region of the state along the I-15 corridor between Provo and Draper. And that leads me into number 3, and that is the housing and population boom will continue to happen in 2025 and beyond. There are so many massive projects underway in terms of residential units that are expanding opportunities for people to find and make a new home. And the cities that lead the top of the list include cities like Lehigh, Saratoga Springs, Eagle Mountain, South Jordan, specifically Daybreak, as well as cities up north like Syracuse and down south in St. George. These areas are seeing massive growth in terms of subdivisions, developments, projects, master planned communities, and everything in between. Now, the largest master planned community in Utah is Daybreak, where I happen to live in South Jordan. This is still continuing to grow. In fact, if you look back over the last 20 years, 1 in 4 new homes built in the Salt Lake City metropolitan area have been in Daybreak. So it's communities like this, not only Daybreak, but other communities. For example, in Saratoga Springs, directly to the south, there's another development called Beacon Point that is just entering phase 2. This is a development that is more in its early stages, but it is continuing to grow, as well as the many communities around it. There are communities like this all over Utah, especially along the Wasatch Front and in St. George. So if these areas are appealing to you, if you're looking for new construction, newer homes, these are usually more appealing when people want more house for the money, and therefore they're willing to move out to the areas that are just a little further from the city, whether that be 30 minutes or 35 minutes or perhaps even 40 minutes away from the city. These are the places where we're seeing the most growth, by far the most appreciation as well in terms of housing as this growth continues. And as I create these videos each and every week, I get the opportunity to interact with people, not only that are reaching out to me, but people that are dropping comments down below. So if you have a thought that you'd like to add to the conversation, please drop a comment below. I respond to each and every comment and try to give my best thoughtful answer. But one thing that I've really noticed is a lot of people are really pushing back against the growth, the development, the progress in terms of how many homes we're building. But inevitably, people are really dissatisfied with where home prices have gone. We in the state of Utah do have a housing affordability crisis that I want to talk about a little bit, but we also have to address what are the main solutions to this problem. Well, when you study economics, it boils down to one of two things. You either increase the supply or you decrease the demand, or a combination of the two. That is the only way to maintain or lower housing prices. And so even though we're building at a higher rate in Utah than any other state in the country, we're still not keeping up with the demand. So when you build a beautiful state that's run well, you have beautiful neighborhoods, you have the access to the outdoors and nature and the scenery that we get to enjoy in Utah, the secret is out when it comes to Utah. The secret is out in terms of this is one of the best places to live in the entire country. So in 2025 and beyond, we can and should expect more affordable housing solutions. So what does that look like? I would say expect policy shifts, and this comes directly from the state in terms of policy shifts and legislation that is going to make it easier for homes to get in the hands of the average person. Now, Granted, I understand that a $480,000 home is very difficult for some people to pull off, but my hope is that we can stop the bleeding and stop the excessive acceleration of home prices here in the States so that more and more people are being able to attain that dream of homeownership. And so I'm really passionate about this. I really hope that in 2025, based on the legislation that's passed in 2024, we can start seeing the rubber hit the road and make a little bit of progress and start putting a dent in the housing affordability crisis by building more starter homes. So you might ask, where are these starter homes going to be built? Well, mostly they're going to be built in and around the Provo metropolitan area, the Salt Lake City metropolitan area, as well as the Ogden metropolitan area, but it's also in the smaller towns outside of that. It's up in Logan and it's down in St. George. There are so many areas where we need more affordable houses, and that's no different in the more rural areas as it is in the cities. So we can expect more growth in terms of starter homes in these regions. And if I'm looking at the areas that are likely going to have by far the highest concentration of these starter homes, I'm looking directly west of Salt Lake City in Tooele County. There are cities in Tooele County like Lake Point and Stansbury Park and Erta and Tooele and Grantsville. Those areas are going to continue to grow, especially with median priced homes or starter homes. And if I go down to Utah County, I'm looking in two places. I'm looking out in Eagle Mountain, just west of Saratoga Springs, as well as on the southern end of Utah County, near Spanish Fork and the surrounding areas in Payson and Santaquin. These areas will continue to grow and provide more and more inventory for starter homes for families to get themselves into a home. And not to leave out the Ogden metropolitan area up to the north, Syracuse is a really good place to get into a starter home as well. And that area is beginning to really boom, especially with recent infrastructure developments in the West Davis Corridor, which is a new freeway that lines on the outside or the west side of Weber and Davis counties. And number 4, I want to talk about education expansion. I want to first talk about university growth. Universities like the University of Utah, Utah Valley University, Utah State, and others are planning to build out more programs as well as expanding campuses. In fact, in Daybreak in South Jordan, they have a spot reserved for an auxiliary campus for the University of Utah. I see this happening throughout the state. It is something that's a high priority in terms of expanding to meet the needs of the local population as we see such a massive influx of people making the move to Utah. And beyond higher education, there are also many initiatives to expand STEM education with respect to expanding the possibilities for people to find technical careers and other opportunities because there is such a need here in the state as well, especially with advanced manufacturing. So if those things are important to you, if education is important to you, it is at the epicenter of what we see happening in Utah. And honestly, I'm excited to see education and learning to be of such importance in my home state. All right, next, number 5, I want to talk about the expansion of tourism as well as outdoor recreation. And within that context, I want to first talk about Park City. As one of the nation's top tourist destinations, Park City is a thriving and bustling mountain town surrounded by so many other areas, and we're seeing a lot of growth both with the outdoor recreational opportunities as well as resorts. We see a new golf course going in, we see a new ski resort going in. These things are happening right now as we speak in the Park City area, and although the locals really don't want to see more traffic, it is happening. We're seeing expansion both with the opportunities that people have to recreate, as well as that Tiger Woods golf course and the new ski resort. So we see a lot of this stuff happening centered around Park City, as it is kind of the epicenter of where people choose to come to Utah to experience the outdoors. Because it is kind of the epicenter of what people choose to do and visit when they come to Utah to recreate outside of the national parks. And speaking of national parks, Bryce Canyon National Park, Zion National Park, Arches and Canyonlands, and Capitol Reef, those are our mighty 5 national parks, and many of those national parks are undergoing improvements and infrastructure developments to enhance the experience of any visitor making a visit to those national parks. We do see a massive influx of people coming there every single spring through fall, and Zion National Park has been many years, including this past year, the number 3 most visited national park in the entire country. So we do get a ton of visitors to Utah just to see those 5 national parks. All right, number 6, healthcare and medical advancements. Utah is a really strong place for healthcare. Healthcare is one of the most thriving industries in the state. We see a lot of people making the move here who work in healthcare, and that goes hand in hand with the increase in population, of course. It also goes along with what really makes Utah special in terms of what we do here and what we prioritize here, and that stems right into our research facilities, as well as the University of Utah, which is kind of the medical research hub in the Intermountain West in terms of universities that are research focused. And based on those research facilities here in Utah, Utah has become the place in the Intermountain West where people come from all over the place to come and get treatment or to find doctors that are specialized in exactly what they're looking for. So there are so many reasons why Utah is growing in the healthcare scene. It's one of the mighty 5 industries that we're attracting here to Utah as well. So healthcare is a major player, but not just healthcare, it's biotechnology expansion as well. The biotech sector, as well as life sciences, play hand in hand with our healthcare culture here, and those are thriving industries as well, and we see those expansions happening and starting in 2025 as well. All right, number 7, I saved my favorite one for last, and that's cultural and entertainment growth in the state of Utah. We see so much happening in the state of Utah right now, and in 2025, there's some major things coming. Now, first, I want to talk about cultural districts, from Provo all the way into Salt Lake City, as well as up north and down south in the state in St. George. We see an enhancement and an investment in the arts and cultural scene that we have yet to see in decades past. And this comes by way of new theaters, new performing arts centers, new galleries, new museums. These things are always happening. In fact, there's even one planned in my own neighborhood in Daybreak, a new performing arts center. But regardless of what your cup of tea is, there's something here for everybody, whether it be a really good museum or something in the cultural arts realm that you really are looking for. Utah is a really good place for them. And moving on to sports, of course, we've had the NBA's Utah Jazz, as well as the MLS soccer team here in Real Salt Lake, which have been really successful, even though the Jazz have never won a championship, mainly because of Michael Jordan beating us 2 years in a row in the 90s. But we've had a really strong sports culture here, not only in collegiate athletics, but professional athletics as well. And believe it or not, this is something I would not have expected just a handful of years ago. Utah, and specifically Salt Lake City, is becoming a sports hub in the West, because we've recently attracted a new NHL team in the Utah Hockey Club, soon to be named its permanent name in the upcoming year. But this new NHL team is taking the state by storm, and it is playing alongside the NBA's Utah Jazz. And with recent developments and legislation that was passed to be able to allow that particular district of downtown Salt Lake City to be completely revamped is really kind of exciting. They've also drastically bumped up the height limit that they can build those buildings in and around that district. So a new sports and entertainment district in the downtown area, just west of City Creek and adjacent to Temple Square and all of the attractions in downtown Salt Lake City. The redevelopment of the Delta Center and the surrounding city blocks around the Delta Center are going to provide a brand new vibrant attraction in the heart of Salt Lake City that you'll be able to walk from the Gateway all the way over into the sports and entertainment district and into City Creek and Temple Square. Pretty much everything that you want to see in the downtown area will be walkable, and it will be really cool to see what the Smith Entertainment Group puts together as they develop that area specifically, because now they have 2 professional sports teams to play off of. And those developments are also going to bring many restaurants and other amenities to the downtown area that I think people are going to really appreciate. And of course, there's always some pushback. There's going to be a sales tax increase in the city, in the downtown area, of 0.5% to help cover the cost of this project. So I know that people really push back against that. It's something that's really fascinating to me, how we balance those things in terms of creating the attractions that then create the tax dollars, or it's kind of like putting the cart before the horse, so to speak, but hopefully they do so responsibly, and I think they will. I have a lot of faith that they will, and this is because of the long history that Utah has in managing these projects well. So that is just in the downtown area, the immediate downtown area of Salt Lake City. But if we just drive 5 minutes to the west of downtown Salt Lake City over to the Power District on the other side of I-15, there's a major section of land that has been purchased by the Larry H. Miller Group of companies, with a planned and possible future Major League Baseball team and development with a new stadium and another sports and entertainment district with more office towers, with more restaurants, with more cultural things to come and check out, as well as a development where the Jordan River runs right through it. I personally am a really big baseball fan, so I'm hoping that this happens. I think we probably have about an 80% chance of making this happen in the handful of years to come. But really, if we're honest, could this happen in 2025? Could this be announced at least in 2025 or 2026? Possibly, I think it's more likely that it could happen in 2027 or even 2028 or 2029 with the Major League Baseball commissioner. They may likely announce 2 new expansion teams, one in the West, one in the East. My bet is that Salt Lake City and Nashville are both awarded expansion teams, but so much can happen between now and then. Other teams could get in trouble. They don't have stadium deals like the Tampa Bay Rays or even the Arizona Diamondbacks, so it may be an option to get a Major League Baseball team here, just like we got the hockey team. We don't know, but to see Salt Lake City go from a one-sport town to not only an NBA team and an MLS soccer team, but also an NHL team and a Major League Baseball team and the 2034 Winter Olympics, Utah, and Salt Lake City specifically, is starting to become a center for sports and entertainment, which is kind of crazy because we're not as big of a city as other cities like Denver or other cities that you might put ahead of us. But with respect to sports and entertainment, we kind of punch like a heavyweight. So I think Utah will be the hub for sports in the West in the near future. And you can call me out in the comments if you think I'm wrong, or in the future, if you're watching this in the future. Who knows what's going to happen? I'm kind of excited. And these are so many developments that are happening and coming to Utah in 2025 and beyond. And if we haven't met yet, my name is Scott Steele, and as a local real estate agent and broker, my team and I love helping people make the move to Utah or move within the state if they've already moved here. We absolutely love serving people in every regards to real estate. So we'd love to be your real estate resource of choice. If you have any questions whatsoever, or you'd like to get started, just reach out to us. You can find my contact information in the description below, where you can book a call with us, you can get in touch with us, and we can get you started along the way with making the move to Utah. And if you're looking to learn more about living in this great state, check out this playlist next. And until the next video, thanks.